to this happy place, welcome.
Hey guys, it's Tim, and welcome to another episode of the Dreaming of Disney podcast, episode 85.
85.
15 away from 100.
Yeah.
100. In case you're wondering how you write 100.
It'll only take us like another 20 to 25 weeks.
Because you know there's going to be some sickness, sick kids, us being sick in the middle of it. That's going to postpone things. But anyways, we hope you have enjoyed our live recap of our Disney World trip the last few weeks. It's been a lot of fun.
It was a lot of
fun.
fun.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun being there. It was fun being at Disney World. Now we're home and
Lame.
it's boring.
Tomorrow is, because you won't hear this for a few weeks. We're recording 2 days after we got home because we want to have it fresh in our mind, but we have those recap episodes that will air first. So tomorrow is our first day, like back to real life, pretty much. Because
going back to work,
we got home.
To school.
Yeah, we got home on a Friday evening, so we had Saturday, Sunday, and I'm not looking forward to it. I don't want to. I don't want to go to work tomorrow. The Disney blues are hitting me hard this time.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's not as bad, but this time.
Yeah, I'm also very tired.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm just old and jet lag affects me more.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I didn't really feel like majorly jet lagged, but it's not that big of a difference. It's 3 hours difference, but I don't know. Yeah.
Early afternoon, I start hitting the wall. I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I want to sleep.
And I've been waking up earlier and I always wake up early, but I'm waking up even earlier. Oh, excuse me.
As you yawn.
I'm tired. Yeah, but anyways.
So we kind of teed this up a couple weeks ago, but comparing this trip to Disney World to our very first trip 2 years ago, February 2021.
Yes.
It was very different.
2022.
2022. I can't count.
That's okay.
2022. We went into going to Disney World and we were automatically comparing it to Disneyland.
Yes. Not on purpose.
No, not on purpose.
Like, because we knew they were different. But especially starting in Magic Kingdom, thinking like, oh, okay, we'll start there. We'll kind of know, somewhat what we're doing. Mm-hmm. No.
We had absolutely no idea what we were doing.
I think a few things. Well, because, and that one threw me off the most, I think, because when we went to Epcot or Animal Kingdom, I wasn't like thrown that I didn't know where things were. I wasn't expecting to.
Yeah.
Or Magic Kingdom, I thought was more like Disneyland.
Yeah.
And they have the same lands, Frontier. I mean, for the most part, they don't have Toontown. But they have Liberty Square. We have New Orleans. Like, it's a little different, but like for the most part, the lands are, Adventureland, Frontierland, Fantasyland, like those are the same. But it's just different. It's just so different. And also things work differently there.
Yeah.
Genie Plus. No. Rider Swap was a little different, if I remember correctly. That was a long time ago. I didn't need it this trip because we didn't have any kids with us. But I remember it working differently. We were like, oh, that's different. We have to go get it here. Well, okay, we don't go up here. Okay. Also, the first trip was the first time we had ever used Genie Plus.
Was it?
Yeah, because we had only been back to Disneyland after it opened once.
That's right.
And they weren't using it yet.
That's right.
So this was our first time using Genie. Not this time. In 2022.
Yes.
It was our first time using Genie Plus. Mm-hmm. And it's complicated, So we weren't so familiar with that. We had been listening to podcasts like Disney World is awesome. Getting like some idea, but this time, so then we went.
Yes.
We experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have 2 years of listening to more of their podcast and following other Disney Instagram accounts that are more Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes such a difference, even just being there once when they say, oh, Liberty Square. I'm like, okay, yeah, I've walked through there.
Mm-hmm.
Or this restaurant. Okay, yeah, I remember seeing that, even though I've only been once. And so that made such a difference too.
For sure.
Having way more podcasts under our belt and having seen it even just once, it just made such a difference in feeling like we knew more.
Yeah.
We knew, where we wanted to go, things we wanted to eat. And then also I don't want to say we were cocky, because I remember being like, gosh, Disney World does things so different. Just getting there is so different. It's like I'm used to just driving to Disneyland. Like we have to fly, and then we have to get transportation from the airport to, the resort. And it's like this huge bubble. And like, I knew all that was different, but I don't know. I just had never gone and never experienced it. So it just threw us more than we expected it to. What I kept thinking of one word. So like, what would you use? What's one word you would use? I'm trying to find my, to describe this trip, our trip,
Use one word to describe our trip.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a funny word that I kept thinking of while we were there, but it's what I kept thinking of.
I don't know. For some reason, this word comes to mind, even though it wasn't really, but it was a little bit. Hectic.
Our trip, me and you?
Yeah, but it wasn't. But
Ouch.
For some reason, I think
it hurts my feelings.
Well, it wasn't hectic, but I mean, no, I want to use hectic. I don't know. What was your word?
Totally different note. Where are my things that I wanted to ask you? Oh, there it is. Okay, for some reason, while we were there, I just kept thinking, like, this trip, it's like redemption.
Redemption.
Because when we came back from our first trip, we were pretty negative.
Oh,
and like
really negative.
We recorded our recap of Magic Kingdom before our first episode of like introducing ourselves. We didn't post it, but we just wanted to like remember what we had done. And we were so negative. Yeah. And I remember saying that, but like, I know I'm being really negative. But we just didn't have and I've said this too, it was like one of those trips where like during it was like up and down and up and down. And this is fun and this is horrible and this is horrible and this is horrible. Okay, this is fun. Now this is horrible. We're having fun. No, we're not. But then afterwards it was a trip where we were all like, oh, that was so great. Yeah. But like during, you're just like, ah.
Yeah.
And like, yes, part of that was that we didn't have any kids with us. We didn't have anyone throwing a fit. We didn't have any like 18 trips to the bathroom because not everyone goes when you tell them to. And like, no meltdowns. Like, but like there was nothing. I'm checking myself here.
Nothing that went wrong.
I wasn't disappointed at anything.
I wasn't either.
Where the first time I was.
Yeah.
But when things were different this time and I didn't like them, honestly, I was kind of glad the first trip because I'm like, oh, great. I like Disneyland better.
Yeah.
But like there was nothing this time if I didn't like it as much, or I thought it was kind of like, that was kind of lame. Like I wasn't like surprised at it. Like because there were rides that we went on where I was like, why does this get so much like, it's overrated in my mind. And there were rides like that this time. The Three Caballeros. I was like, Okay.
Is that something that people talk about?
I feel like
being so
hear.
awesome.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard that people are like it. I don't know. Maybe that could be totally wrong because it was like a low wait time all day. So maybe I'm wrong about that. But I was
pretty lame.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't expecting a lot from Figment because I hear people talk about how weird it is. It's just sentimental because they remember going on it when they were little and all that. So I wasn't going into it expecting anything. Yeah, super weird. But yeah, there just wasn't anything where I was like, oh, I'm disappointed at this.
Yeah.
If anything, there was quite a few things that we were like, oh, that's better than we thought it was.
Yeah, definitely. Test Track was way better this time.
Test Track was redeemed.
Yes.
Yeah. Still, we like Racers better.
For sure.
But it was redeemed.
We were going into, I think we've talked about this in our live check-ins the last few weeks, but we were going into this knowing, okay, we know, this Space Mountain is different. We know Test Track is different from Racers. So we're not going to expect the same thing. Right. Obviously, because we went on it before and we know what to expect now. But that first trip, we were like, okay, we know Racers and Test Track use similar technology, same type of ride dynamics. And we were expecting something similar, but it wasn't. Space Mountain, this was the older version of Space Mountain, which is pretty much a version of Disneyland's Matterhorn, but in the dark.
But then this time on Space Mountain, I felt like there were more drops. Like, how like Space Mountain and Disneyland, you're just kind of like, there are a few little drops, but it's kind of like you're just going down
in a circle,
spiral all the way down. But then there's some like, oh, you're dropping. This one in Disney World this time, I felt like there were more of those little drops. There was a couple where I was like, oh, that's bigger than I feel like we have in Disneyland. I still like Disneyland's better.
For sure.
The main thing I do not understand about Space Mountain in Disney World is where they take the picture. They take the picture at the beginning before you're doing anything. Yeah. You like turn a corner slowly and they take your picture. You're like, I wasn't like that.
Wasn't ready.
That wasn't my reaction. Like you want the picture on a ride to be in like the craziest part. So you get your funny reaction. And it's seriously, you're like turning a corner and there's a light. And it's at the beginning. It's so weird. Yeah. Also, the ending isn't as good. Yeah. You like slowly come to a stop instead of like at Space Mountain. You go in Disneyland. You go through that tunnel with the light and
and then you stop.
And that's where they take your picture.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like as lame as I thought it was the first time. I still like Disneyland's better. Same thing. Like this time, I appreciated some of the cues, like Peter Pan queue. The queue for Peter Pan in Disney World is better. We didn't ride it last time because we had a lightning lane for it last time, but we just ran out of time. And we were like, it was between that and something else. And we let it go. But this time we did during the deluxe hours and the queue is way better. Yeah. Like there's the queue in Disneyland, you're outside and it's very, very skinny. And, this one you go inside and it's like you're going through their house and it was really cool. There was even some interactive things. And the ride is a little different.
I like the ride at Disneyland.
Like the ride at Disneyland better.
Yeah.
There was in Disneyland, the characters talk more. Also, the voice of Hook in Disney World is not the voice of Hook. Like it is not the right voice. It was a weird, like higher pitched voice.
Well, it seemed like, I don't know if it wasn't working correctly.
I don't know. Cause it was weird. It was like weird.
Something seemed off.
But like they had some cool scenes that aren't in the one in Disneyland. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. But like just the lighting and everything I feel like is better in the Disneyland one, but their queue is better.
Cause I think the Disneyland one was recently refurbished and updated a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
So it has some newer technology.
And then like the queue for Toy Story Mania in Hollywood Studios is a lot better than the queue in California Adventure. There was another one. Oh, Tower of Terror. The queue and just the building, that's the original.
Yes.
It was more like you were going through a hotel. So it was a neat queue. Obviously now it's not Tower of Terror in California, it's Guardians, but even when it was, you were outside, you're outside for a good portion of it. And this one, just the building is neat. Looks more like a old hotel,
Yeah.
We've talked about this too. It's like Florida has more room to do things than California does. They have a lot less space. But so there were things that I was like, I like this here better. I like this in Disney World better. Yeah. So it was just like, it was much better. We just kept talking about how much better it was. And just like how I just kept thinking like, oh, the next time we bring the kids, we'll have such a better time.
Yeah.
Like we won't be, we'll just know what to expect so that we can enjoy the things that are good about Disney World instead of being disappointed at the things that are better in Disneyland. We can enjoy the things that are better in Disney World or just good. It doesn't even have to be better, just good, instead of being mad that we can't find churros.
I didn't have a single churro this trip.
No, we didn't. We were told to have the churros at Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom, but you needed a reservation for there. And we didn't get one, and we weren't in Animal Kingdom that long. But yeah, I mean, I think one, it'll help because the kids will all be quite a bit. We have some ideas of when we would like to take them again. And so by the time that happens, they will all be, better ages than they were the first time. First time was the first big trip we had taken, having 4 kids.
Yeah.
I mean, Georgia was only 9 months old.
In the middle of COVID. On a plane with 4 kids, and it was stressful.
It was a lot. Yeah. And this time it's like, by the time we go again, we'll have 2 teenagers and, the kid, they'll just be easier. And, I just think the next time we get to take them, it'll just be, and now that you and I have gone and done things on the Skyliner more, gotten around the 4 parks in different ways than we did the first time. The first time, and the first time we didn't know, we stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge because, one, we found a good price for the dates we were looking at.
Yeah.
Our son Noah loves animals, and I didn't know about any of the other resorts. I had only seen things about that one pretty much. Like we had seen, obviously, when we were blah, blah, blah. When I was little, the commercials, Grand Floridian and Contemporary, but I didn't know anything. And we're like, oh, okay, yeah. Not realizing how far out it is from everything, that you have to take a bus to all the parks. This time we stayed on a resort that was on the Skyliner. So easy to get to Epcot and Hollywood Studios. Then we were at the Grand Floridian, 2-minute monorail ride.
This is amazing.
To Magic Kingdom. Like, so great. So it's like, now we should do that. Oh, okay. If we stay here, we should, stay on the Skyliner because it'd be so much easier with kids and like, it'll just be so much better.
Yeah.
It'll be, and so I'm excited to take them back when we get a chance. Cause then there's things that I like better there.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
And I made some notes.
You made some notes?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So how do we want to go about this episode? Are we talking about just like our like, not a recap, but kind of like our impressions, after going a second time, or just things that we like better?
I mean, do we want to go we could go like park by park? Not a like detailed recap, but just like our overall feelings or favorites, and then overall resort feelings.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Do we want to start with park or resort?
Let's start with let's start with the resorts.
Okay. Like what I mean by that is the Disneyland resort overall, not the resorts, like not the hotels.
Oh.
But I mean just like which I guess kind of both. Both. Like, obviously, we've stayed at two hotels we did not stay at before, but just overall and how things go. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
so let's just start with Pop.
Okay.
We stayed at Pop Century. It is a value resort.
Yes.
It was cute.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I mean, I thought it's a great, if you're wanting to save some money and you don't really care about where you're staying, that you just want a bed and a shower and a clean room. Yeah. I think it works great.
Well, and backing up just a bit, real quick, we did Mears Connect from the airport to the resort, and it was super easy.
Yeah.
There's signs in the airport. You schedule, your time, and they tell you which line to go for what resort you're going to. Mm-hmm. Like, super easy.
And the bus was not crowded at all.
No.
Both ways.
Yeah, it wasn't crowded at all. But I mean, that could be,
it could be the time
you
of
could
year
get a
that
crowded
we went.
bus,
Yeah.
but like, it wasn't for us. And it was cheaper than doing like an Uber or anything
About
like that.
half the price.
And super easy. Would totally do it again. So anyways, but like, so Pop, we talked about it, I think, in our first like clip.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, different decades in the 20th century. So it's like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
Goes up to the 90s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the 50s, and it's super cute. I wanted to roam around more, but first day it was raining off and on, and it was cold. And then the second day it was cold, and then we were transferring to a different resort. So I just didn't get a chance to that much because in each section, they have huge statues from characters from a movie in that decade. So like where we were, it was Lady and the Tramp. They had like a huge statue of Lady and a huge statue of Tramp. We walked through, what would it be, the 60s or 70s for Jungle Book?
60s.
60s. So they had a huge Mowgli and Baloo. We could see over in the 90s, they had a big Mickey Mouse. So I wanted to go through, some other ones. So it's cute. Like kids would love it.
Yeah.
A huge quick service area. They had a hot breakfast. They had, it was large. Like it was always, crowded when we were in there, but like it was,
yeah,
a lot of space in there,
Yeah, it's the gift shop and the food service was one building.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people doing different things in there.
Yeah. But like one morning I went in and I got there a couple minutes before they opened because they open at 7 a.m. and I was going in to get us coffee, and like one door there was like a huge line. There wasn't too big of a line, and it was really easy. Like once I got in there, like I didn't have to like wait around forever to get my coffee or anything like it. Everything moved quickly. And so yeah, like I definitely, and one of the main reasons we chose it was it has a Skyliner stop. And so so this Skyliner stop station, I don't know, stops at 2 resorts, Pop Century and Art of Animation. But if you stay at Pop Century, the line in the morning is on the Pop Century side.
Yes.
So you kind of have an advantage there.
Yeah.
Because we were, we easily got in line, and then we're seeing all the people coming over from Art of Animation, and they have to walk, they just have to walk farther.
Yeah.
But so easy. It's like you get on and
the line goes super quick.
Yeah, the line goes quick.
You look at it and it looks like, oh man, this is going to take forever.
Yeah.
But I think the longest we are ever, not counting our end of Epcot day.
Yeah,
but in the morning, I mean, the line looked like, oh, this is at least a 30, 45-minute line. And it went by 15
minutes. I heard a cast member
minutes.
telling someone else, like, I know it looks long, but you'll be on in 15 minutes. And yeah, we were, 10 or 15 minutes. And it's just so easy. If you have a stroller, not a double, if your stroller is a double and it's wide, you have to collapse it. But if it's a single stroller or a double that's the single size, you don't have to collapse it.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Obviously, we didn't have to do that. But like if your kid's sleeping at the end of the night, You don't have to.
Same thing with the monorail.
Same thing with the monorail. It's different seating.
Yeah.
And we saw even a double stroller. I saw
Yeah.
a double stroller in there. So I'm like, oh man, that would be so nice. Because always getting on the monorail in Disneyland, it's like, oh, like Boston's asleep, Georgia's asleep. Got to get them out because you got to collapse the stroller to get on the monorail. A lot of times we wouldn't take the monorail back. We would just walk because we're like, oh, they're asleep. We're not gonna, take the monorail. But yeah, like quick. You have another stop where you get off that Skyliner to get on another one because they split. You can either go to Hollywood or Epcot, but still, like there's signs. They tell you it's so easy. So I really liked that. I think the transportation there is great.
Oh, for sure.
Not the buses. I don't like the buses.
No,
like
we only did bus one day.
Because last time when we went the first time, I was like, I hate the buses. I'd so much rather walk.
Yeah.
So I prefer Disneyland, like just in everything in walking distance. Instead of buses at Disney World. I don't like the buses. It's just, I don't know. I just don't.
And they also,
it feels like we were waiting. They cram tons of people in there and it just felt like you're always waiting where I'm like even we went to Animal Kingdom. That's the only time we had to take the bus. Didn't take us too long to get there. I thought it was going to take longer because it was the farthest park from where we were. But then we waited, at least a half an hour for the next bus when we were leaving Animal Kingdom to go back. And we were just really tired and wanted a nap. But we have to wait. And I'm like, if this was Disneyland, we'd already be back in our hotel just by walking. Yeah. So yeah, I do like everything in walking, but the Skyliner is great. I wish they had I want them to build a Skyliner from one end of Disneyland to the other end of California Adventure. Yeah. So you can park hop.
That would be amazing.
Obviously they would need like a ticket because you have to,
scan in.
But if you're in Disneyland, you obviously have a ticket. Well, you might not have a park hopper.
You not have park hopper.
Yeah. So they would need all that, but it would just be so nice.
Yeah.
And then, the monorail is similar. Although taking the monorail in Disneyland, if you're staying at the Disneyland Resort, it was longer. It's a longer ride than from Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom. Yeah. It seriously is like,
it was less than 2 minutes.
I filmed it and it was like a little less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But,
that's if you're going from Grand Floridian to the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. It makes
going Magic Kingdom to Grand Floridian, I think there's like 3 stops before you get to the hotel.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was clean. We were on the first floor and it was a little loud. Like the walls were very thin. So like, first night there, I never sleep well the first night in a hotel. A lot of times, like, I'll wake up and not, you don't know where you are. You think you're at home or whatever. So I'd hear like running outside. And a couple times I sat up in a panic because I thought I was home. And I was like, what is that noise? And I was like, oh, that's right. I'm at a hotel. That's right. But just, and even the people, the room next to us, like the walls were really thin. I could hear their alarm like it was my own. I could hear their conversation, not muffled. Yeah. Like it was like they were in our room, like, so they can hear us as well. But I mean, so that was the only thing that was like, and it's not like we were spending tons of time in the room. So
yeah. No, yeah, I think pop is a great option if like I said, you just want to go and you want a clean room, bed, and a shower, and not planning on spending a lot of time there, then it's a good option. Now, if you want something a little bit nicer,
a little bit,
and you're all in on the resort lifestyle with things to do outside of the parks, Grand Floridian is probably my all-time favorite Disney hotel.
Me too.
Like,
me too.
Beat Disneyland hotel.
I know. I was thinking the same thing, but then they're so different.
They are very different.
The Grand Floridian,
it's like top tier. It's their highest tier resort.
And honestly, when we first got there, I was hitting a wall. I was really tired. The first 2 nights, I did not sleep good at all. And so this was after, okay, so that would be Sunday night and then Monday night. I did not sleep well at all. And so this was Tuesday afternoon and I was just hitting a wall. And so when we got there, I was like, okay, yeah, it's nice. And we got in the room and you kept talking about like, oh my gosh. And I just laid down immediately and took a nap.
You're
like
so tired.
I was so tired. Cause then the night before we left, when we were still at home, I didn't sleep at all either. So it was 3 nights, like combined. I probably had like 5 hours of sleep combined for those 3 nights. Like I was just like, I was so stinking tired. And so I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I don't care. But the longer we were there, and also they have recently remodeled.
Yes.
And so there is Mary Poppins theme.
Yes.
I may have said this in other like check-ins, so I'm sorry if there's repeated things that I say. But Mary Poppins is one of my all-time favorite movies, not just Disney movies, just like favorite movies. And so it's like right up my alley. And it's like subtle touches. It's not overly like super cartoony themed, where like if you go to Art of Animation and you get like a Cars themed room for your kids, like that's fun for your kids. But this is like classy and like touches
the
of
same
it.
way that Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, same thing like Disneyland Hotel. Yeah.
With, you know,
or
classic
Grand Californian.
Disney.
Grand California, well, because
Grand
Grand California doesn't
different.
have a lot of Disney. Like you could walk around. Sorry, I'm gonna move my mic. You could walk around Grand Floridian and not realize it was a Disney hotel.
Grand California or Grand Floridian?
Grand Floridian.
Okay. Yeah.
Like if you're walking around the outside, it doesn't necessarily look like a Disney hotel. Same thing with Grand Californian.
Yeah.
You could just walk around and not think that it's. And then there's little touches.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Where like Disneyland Hotel, you can tell more.
Yeah.
But like classic vintage Disney, I love it. I love that when you drive up to Disneyland Hotel and like you feel like you're walking into the 60s. Like I love that. But overall, I also got more, because I've heard people who go to Disney World more and then go to Disneyland, how there's not a bubble. Like Johnny has said that there's not a Disney bubble. And I was like, what? Like, I feel like there's a Disney bubble in Disneyland. But I can see more what they're saying because there are more quote unquote on property resorts. I just lost my train of thought.
Disney bubble. There's more resorts.
Oh yeah, and like the like it feels more like you're at a resort.
Yeah.
Where Disneyland could feel, even if you're staying at a Disneyland hotel, like you're just staying at a hotel and going to a theme park.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I'm not knocking it at all. I feel like I'm at Disneyland and I'm in my little Disney bubble when I walk through downtown Disney. But like just the things like we talked about on Instagram, and I'm sure we talked about it in check-ins that we recorded, like the refillable mugs.
Yeah.
So they have these mugs you can buy, $20, $21. And for your entire stay, you get free refills of coffee, tea, hot chocolate, soda, sparkling water, like whatever, you know, at the quick services at the resort, not in the park.
Yeah.
But at any of the resorts. So like things like that make it feel more like an all-inclusive resort type stay. And so that made it feel more like a Disney bubble.
Yeah.
Because like things that are all included like that. The transportation between the different resorts, it just feels more like a resort stay.
Yeah.
And the Grand Floridian, because it's a deluxe, also felt more, you know, they just have nicer areas to sit. The quick service has nicer seating and booths like to sit at than like the Pop Century felt more like a cafeteria.
Yeah.
This felt more like a little restaurant.
Yeah.
We walked, we had breakfast at and then walked around the Polynesian a little bit, which is another deluxe right by Grand Floridian. It has like a beach with a bunch of like Adirondacks chairs, which I know I talked about in our check-in, but it just feels more resort.
Yeah.
More like a nice resort where there's things you can do besides
go to the theme
go
parks.
to the parks
Yeah.
that you could enjoy. Where Disneyland, it's like there are other things. There's downtown Disney, there's restaurants, there's at Grand Californian, there's a spa, there's obviously the pools, there's do they have an arcade at Grand California? I don't know if they have an arcade.
I don't know.
But they have like the little cartoon rooms for kids.
Yeah.
They have other things at the 3 Disneyland hotels that aren't in the park. But yeah.
Yeah, like I can't, if we were to go to Disneyland, I can't imagine having a resort day.
No.
And we're like, okay, we're not going to the parks today.
I could a little bit. Like if we did like, cause like Grand California, well, both Disneyland Hotel and Grand Californian. And I don't know about Pixar Place. They might do. They all have character breakfast.
That's true.
If we did a character breakfast and then, you know, I went and got a massage at the spa and then we went swimming.
Okay, I guess so.
But still, at
Disneyland, you can't just go sit in a chair outside on a beach and look at the castle from your lakefront view like you can in Disney World.
Yeah.
Disneyland, you know, they have pools, but I mean, they're crowded pools. It's hard to even find a chair to sit in.
Well, we were also there and that was in July.
Well, it's still.
Well, we don't know what it's like in the summer there, babe.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like
That's true.
I mean, from what we hear, it's pretty crowded. We were there in February.
Yeah. But
Disney World. I mean, we were there in February. The last time when what you're talking about not being able to find a chair at the Disneyland Hotel was July, and it was so stinking hot.
It was crazy hot.
It was one of like the hottest weekends down there that summer.
Yeah. Okay. So you got me there.
So the pool was, yes, very crowded. Excuse me, I'm supposed to be getting ready for bed.
You're not getting ready for bed yet.
I have to set an alarm to remind myself now, so I try to go to bed not too late.
I just loved the Grand Floridian.
Yeah,
It was
I really did.
so nice. It smelled so good.
So good.
Speaking of, we have a candle that we got while we were there at one of the shops. That's the same scent that they pumped throughout the resort.
Yeah. But the candle is kind of like not burning, and so I can't smell
We put
anything.
too much wax in it.
Fill that thing up because you make it yourself. They had all these little, all these different scents, all this different wax, and so you could make your own candle and like layer the scents. And we just did the one scent. We just did the Grand Floridian scent.
But yeah, it was so nice. And what I loved, I don't know if this just was the times that we were going when we were going to Magic Kingdom, but we all know that stay at Grand Californian and either you're walking into California Adventure or you're walking into downtown Disney, that security line.
Anywhere, any security
going
line.
into downtown Disney or Grand California backs way up and it takes forever to get through.
Well, yeah, I guess that's not the case when you're coming in from like Disneyland Hotel. It goes pretty fast, and the other side goes pretty fast. But yeah. So
I was assuming because the monorail for the Grand Floridian comes right up to the front of the lobby, like right there on the second floor, and I was assuming, okay, there's going to be a super long line to get into the parks. we never waited.
We didn't rope drop.
No.
But we didn't wait. That's one of the things on my list.
I take that back. Our last day when we went to breakfast at the Polynesian.
That was earlier than rope drop.
That was 30 minutes before rope drop.
Oh, that's right, because the time
was different.
It was different. I looked the night before, and I know it said Disneyland opened or Magic Kingdom opened at 9. I know it did, because we talked about how, we can't the boat doesn't start until half hour before that. We talked about it. We looked at it, and then next day they changed it.
They changed it to 8 a.m. And so
8:30. No, yeah.
It was 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So early entry would have been 7:30, and we were on the monorail at 7:30 around that same time. And so if this was Disneyland, that line going onto the monorail should have been way backed up.
Yeah. And it was like, so even though this is not summer, according to crowd calendars, we went on one of the busiest weeks of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It was not intentional, and I was stressed about it. I didn't like it, but it was the only time we had to go. But it was like all the days were like in red, except the last 2 days, I think, were in orange.
Yeah.
But like they were all, it was busy. It was a busy week.
It was very busy.
Like we said when we checked in, when we were waiting for the fireworks, they said that Main Street had reached capacity for firework viewing.
Yeah.
I've never heard that announcement before in Disneyland. But yeah, that's one of the things on my list of things I wish Disneyland had is the way they do security in Disney World.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll say this, if it is as effective, sometimes I worry because I'm sure I've said it on here before. You want to check everybody's bag and keep us safe? Go for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I will open up all my bags. Like, if it means that we're safe in there, then I'm okay with it. Like, I don't get mad at security because I'm like, is it fun taking all the things off the stroller and all the things we have? No. But am I glad that they're making an effort to keep everyone safe? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So at Disney World, they just have like the metal detectors you walk through. Now you said that it's like the same type at airports where it like scans you.
Yeah, they're not just metal detectors. They're not like X-ray. They don't see through your clothes, but they can detect things in your bags, and certain things set them off more than others. So you can, like when we go through security at Disneyland, my belt always sets it off, and I always have to stop, and they have to.
You should just take your belt off first.
I should. I'll probably do that next time. But with my backpack, and I had, our mics in my backpack and just other things, battery chargers, I had metal all over me. It wasn't until the last or second to last day that I started getting, dinged.
Well, see, so that's where I question it, because it was the second to last day. You got dinged. They went through, and the guy said, "Oh, it's probably your mics. Hold them." Mm-hmm. Like if you have anything that's questionable, if you hold, I saw a reel about this before too. If you hold it in your hand while you go through the security, then, you won't get dinged. They see it. You don't have to like go over and show them all your stuff. But you had it every day.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, it missed it. Mm-hmm. So what else would it miss?
Or maybe it wasn't, they have the certain, maybe it's a sensitivity setting.
Okay, but then that's same thing. Like, what would it miss if, it missed it? What if that wasn't what it was? What if it was something dangerous?
Yeah.
And it missed it. So that's the only, or I'm like, okay, I want it to be just as effective, but it goes so fast.
Oh, it's amazing.
Like, so fast. And then when you go into the park, you just hold up. Excuse me, hang on. I'm crying. No, I'm just kidding. Your Magic Band, or for us, we loaded it onto our watch because we have Apple Watches. Mm-hmm. Or you can have,
or your phone, or
whatever,
or
you
your
have,
card,
or a card. It's late for me right now, but you hold it up to a little scanner and then your fingerprint and then you walk in. Like, it's so fast. They don't have to stop. Let me take your picture. Okay, print out your tickets. Because that's different, right? Not everyone has to print out their tickets.
Not everyone. No.
Okay, so I'm going to mark that. But they stop and have to like take everyone's picture, and it takes a lot longer. And I'm just wondering why they haven't brought this system over to Disneyland. I know it's not as busy, but still, you would think that they would want to get people in quicker, in an efficient way, especially because I could be wrong about this, but we've talked about how they used to have a line specifically for early entry. So when you walked into the park, it was only early entry people. So it made it a lot less crowded. Now they let everybody in, which also means that you get in if you're paying for a Disneyland Resort hotel. So you get early entry, but you sometimes don't get in as early because you're having to wait behind
everybody
20
else.
Groups of people that don't have early entry. And then once you get in, you go over towards Tomorrowland, show them that you're staying at Disneyland Hotel. They let you in for early entry, where it used to just be outside of the park. There was a specific line for early entry. And I like that better. I've thought maybe because the park just started getting so much more crowded, it was getting to the point right before COVID, that the lines for Disneyland and Grand California, the lines for Disneyland and California Adventure were starting to meet.
I remember that.
Because it was just getting a lot more busy. The parks were getting busier. And so I wondered if that's why they did it, to help with like congestion out there in the Esplanade. But I'm like, so this would help with that. Like,
and for early entry for Disney World, instead of, like you said, Disneyland, everybody goes in and then they split, the regular people with the resort people.
The regular people.
And for Disney World, they don't even let you in the park without checking to make sure you are a resort. Staying at a resort. That's what they did at Hollywood Studios, where they scanned our watches to make sure that we were staying at a resort before we could even go forward with scanning into the park.
Not Epcot though.
Not Epcot. It was the other way around.
And I don't know about Magic Kingdom because we didn't rope drop.
Yeah. But they do it that way. But I wish, and again, if it's just as effective and safe, that they brought that over to California and the Magic Bands, which they said that they brought over Magic Band Plus. Yeah.
But I rarely see anyone using that.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's hard to use your phone, but it's so fast. And getting into the park is so fast using your Magic Band or your watch. And then anytime you scan in for Lightning Lane using it, also you don't have to, I think part of technically I guess this isn't really that fast or much faster, but like for us, it's like if we take the kids, we have all of their tickets on our phone. So at Disneyland, it's like, well, for Lightning Lane, it's okay. One of us sitting there scanning, swipe, scan, swipe, scan, swipe. But then all 5 or 6 of us going at once. Where in Disney World, all the kids can have their own Magic Band, and because they don't all have phones, but they can. They all, when we were there 2 years ago, we got a Magic Band. So then it's just like one at a time, like scan, go, scan, go, scan, go, and it just felt like it made the line, and people aren't crowding around because it's not like, oh, this party of 6, but it's just the mom or just the dad scanning everyone's in. Like it just flows better, and I just don't. They said that they were going to bring Magic Bands over. That was like rumored.
Well, they
and we
did.
saw, but just Magic Band Plus, but it's not the same thing. It's not getting into the park.
Yeah, Magic Band Plus, you can still use that to get into the park.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, that's what it's for. So
I thought it was just for Lightning Lane.
No, it works exactly the same as
So they
Disney
don't have to
World.
take your picture, or they still have to take your picture?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but it's still not as quick as Disney World because the cast members at the gates still have to use their phone to scan your Magic Band. And
because there's not the little,
they don't have the little pedestals
scanners.
with the fingerprint. But Disneyland is updating its main gates this year
so
with
we'll
new
see.
technology. So we'll see what that looks like.
I just that's something I wish that the refillable mugs, which we don't stay at Disneyland as long as we stay in Disney World. And most people, I'm sure, don't. It's a lot of annual pass holders that go for an afternoon.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense here, but it was just nice. I just
was
really liked
nice
that.
to be able to just go down to the quick service, fill up with coffee, and get going. It was irritating that you can't refill them in the parks.
Yeah, it doesn't work at quick services in the park.
But still, it's nice just to go get the coffee and get going.
Well, and I saw a reel yesterday about like, is it worth it? And like, basically you just have to say, figure out for yourself. If you're there for 3 days, probably not. If you're there for 5 days or more, it's probably worth it.
Yeah. If you're getting coffee
like
in the morning.
4 days, if you're only going to get coffee in the morning, you might break even. So it might not be worth it. We were there for 5 days. We got coffee every morning. I got hot chocolate like 2 or 3 times in the afternoon.
Yeah.
A couple times we had lunch at the resort. So we got soda.
Yeah.
So for us, it ended up being worth it.
For sure.
If you are staying there for a week and you have kids, like I think, it's worth it. And it does. It just feels nice to like walk in there. Cause one afternoon we were heading back into Epcot and I was just kind of cold. And I was like, I just want something warm to drink. And I just went in and got hot chocolate and left. Like I didn't have to pay for it. Cause I already paid for the mug, but like, it was just nice. I don't know. It just like, it was that whole like all inclusive resort feel.
Yeah.
Felt more just like a vacation, not just a Disney vacation, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
even though it was, it just, and then I also wish that Disneyland had more on-property resorts.
Yeah.
Just to choose from. It's like we've talked about how, okay, if you're going to rate the 3 here in Disneyland, and I don't even know if this is true anymore now that they now that Pixar Place is Pixar Place.
Yeah.
But when it was Paradise Pier, it was like, okay, that would be
your value.
like your value.
Yeah.
And then Disneyland would be your moderate, Grand California would be your deluxe. But the prices did not match up for that compared to like a value or moderate in Disney World. They are like the prices it's a huge difference.
For sure.
It's a huge difference in their pricing. Like you can stay on property and get the perks of Skyliner, the transportation, early entry for much, much cheaper than you can at Disneyland in California. So I wish that they had some more hotels that were considered on property.
Yeah.
Because it would just be nice to have more like actual value places to stay, but you get those perks. Like I wish they had that. But yeah.
Yeah.
So much different experience this time. A lot of like, I don't know. I'm okay. So like we go to Disneyland often, and that's like our regular, that's our home. That's fun. And then this, I'm thinking maybe this will be like an every few years, more of a resort type stay.
Yeah.
Is what I'd like to do. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know if I can stay anywhere other than the Grand Floridian.
Yes, you can.
I know I can, but
you will, and you will. But yeah, no, I know
it's so nice,
and it's a different feel than the Disneyland hotel. And just like when we went, we just walked around the Polynesian in another deluxe, just as nice, but totally different vibe there. But yeah, it might be it's hard for me to say that it has replaced the Disneyland Hotel as my favorite hotel because the Disneyland Hotel is just special.
Well, I think also Grand Floridian was just remodeled. Like it is like almost like a brand new hotel. Disneyland Hotel hasn't been updated in a very long time. So it's a little bit more dated.
Okay. I don't know.
Grand Floridian felt extra nice because it's new. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. No.
I mean, the whole resort was totally remodeled from the ground up.
Really?
Yes. Like everything was new. And so it felt extra clean, extra nice, extra.
Disneyland Hotel is very clean.
Well, it is clean. It felt like, oh, wow, this is like really, really nice.
Yeah.
Well, when we go to Disneyland, it's like, this is nice, but it didn't feel like that nice.
It did the first time.
I guess maybe.
For several times.
Maybe it's just worn off.
You're just getting spoiled.
I guess so, maybe.
But no, this one is nicer. It is nicer. It's a deluxe, and Disneyland Hotel, I don't know if it's like deluxe. It's nice, but yeah, and just the views. I mean, you get good views at Disneyland Hotel, but I love it.
The Disneyland resorts, like your view is either downtown Disney, a parking lot, or some Anaheim streets.
Well, Pixar Place has some rooms because we had, when we stayed there years ago for Paradise Pier, we had some good views of California Adventure.
Yeah.
And you can see like the Matterhorn and stuff and get good view of the fireworks. We've shared that in our stories before, like watching the fireworks from our room at from the Adventure Tower. There is something very special about seeing the castle from your hotel.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't matter where you stay.
I know,
at
that
Disneyland.
castle is huge.
It doesn't matter where you stay at Disneyland. You're not seeing the castle.
You're not seeing castle. It doesn't poke above the trees like Disney World.
And I am not ragging on it. Sleeping Beauty's castle, I love it. Cinderella's castle is very special.
Yeah.
It is pretty awesome. And I love that you can see it from anywhere. Anywhere in the park, and then at the Magic Kingdom resorts, which are Grand Floridian, Polynesian, Contemporary. You can see the castle, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, and Disney World is so spread out that there's so much, what's the word? Nature.
There's so much nature.
It's
there's like wetlands
and you're not just, jam packed. You're not in the middle of a city like in Anaheim. So there's lots of, natural views and lakes and trees and
which also helps make it feel more like a resort stay because you're not seeing the city bus. So that's where I get more now, like the feeling in the bubble. Like I can see that. I still think you can get the Disney bubble here, but not as easily.
Yeah. Well, we may need to make this a two-parter because we're just talking about the resorts. We haven't even got into the actual parks.
We just
themselves.
have so much to say. We're getting so much content from this trip.
I know. It's crazy.
That's what TJ said. He's like, "What, are you guys going to get like 5 weeks from this?" We're like, "Yeah, probably."
Probably. Yeah. And so this is our third week. So, but anyways, so that's just some of the stuff that we really enjoyed about the resorts. It's probably not even everything. But next week we'll talk about the parks and what we really enjoyed there and recap that. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram at dreaming.of.disney.podcast. Leave us a review and
check out our highlight bubble of our trip.
Yeah, see all the things that we did. We're still going to be posting up more stuff. So, but anyways, we appreciate you listening. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.